Hello, hello, good morning, good morning, good morning to you. Hello, everybody. My name is RODGON. I'm an artist, I'm a designer, I'm a cartoonist, I'm an illustrator. I am a variety of things for you guys today. And more than anything, today I am your instructor. So, hello and welcome to an art lesson with a professional cartoonist. How are you guys doing? If you guys want to come join us for today's lesson, all you have to do is like the stream. Hit and like that button. Our lesson will begin when we get to 2,000 likes. When we get to 2K likes, we will begin. 2K, okay? Today's lesson is going to be talking about sketchbook habits. And we are going to be finishing this exact sketchbook. Check it out. So, we got gotten to the point where we are on our very last page. And I like to fill every inch of my sketchbook. Every inch. I don't like leaving anything open because it's real estate. For me, it's just pure real estate. It's just learning after learning after learning after learning after learning after learning after learning. And then this is how I improve my skills. So today, I'm going to teach you guys my sketchbook habits. And I'm going to give you guys a rundown as to what I normally do with my sketchbooks so that you guys understand how you can improve and use them as a source of learning instead of seeing them as just like your walking portfolio. So, sketchbook habits. I also found out very recently that I didn't have my account set to the right thing. So I didn't have it set to creator account, so I wasn't monetizing for the last 3 years. And I was like, oh man, TikTok kind of sucks for monetizing, but I get a lot of reach. So I changed it and let's see what happens. Because I've had several videos go into the millions of views, but I've made $0 from that. So let's see if that changes now. How is it going, Mastermind Labs? How you doing? If this actually changes anything at all, it might actually make it so much easier for me to just not have to ever ask any money for money, ever. So let's hope that this works. If you guys watch my videos that I upload from now on, I get money from them. So if you guys watch my videos, I get money now. So I'll have to re-upload a lot of the really popular ones. How am I doing today? I'm doing a lot better today. So, what do we have to keep in mind when we are keeping our sketchbooks? Rule numero uno. If you want to keep a good sketchbook, number one, you need to realize that it's not, and it's a learning tool. It's your number one learning tool. Okay? Tall tool. I can't spell, but I can draw. So your sketchbook is going to always be your number one essential drawing tool. What do I mean by that? This is going to be your idea book, your concept book, your thought book, your journal. It's going to be everything and anything that you want it to be. Now, we have a very cool skill set as artists, and we are able to turn absolutely nothing into beautiful little things. So we can take a blank piece of paper and just draw something on it, touch it, ta-da, and we can create something beautiful. That is our power. Okay, it doesn't matter if you're big, strong, can fly, run fast, make a shit ton of money. It doesn't matter. That's not your power. Your power in the core, it's being able to turn something beautiful by just touching it. You have like the Midas touch of beauty. Okay? So once you understand that, you don't have to have perfect drawings in your sketchbook. Once you understand that whatever you touch is more pretty because you touched it, now you can move on to understanding what you want to create. So use your sketchbook for things like perspective drawings, exercises to practice drawing through your shapes. Basic concepts like boxes are overlooked so much, right? If you don't know how to draw a box or cube, it's going to be really hard for you to understand how to find the two sides of a head, for example, or how the ear protrudes, or how the head has volume, how the head has a side to it, all that stuff. Understanding the actual structure of your elements is just about learning how to draw through your shapes. And that is something that you can easily do with your sketchbook because you can carry it anywhere. So one of my first sketchbook habits that I developed was getting a sketchbook that I could carry absolutely anywhere. So I developed the ability to draw, like really quick eventually. But at first I was really slow, so I wouldn't fill the pages like I do now. I used to do like one big drawing and that was it. But again, since these drawings are not going to be in a portfolio, if I did something wrong with it, I would just draw over it. Let's say that I'm drawing an eyeball, right? And I'm like, oh no, that didn't look right. I'm going to scrap it. No, you go in and you adjust it over the drawing so that your brain knows that it was a mistake. Okay? The moment that you tell your brain you made an error and you fix it immediately, not the next one, no, you fix it immediately, you're telling your brain not to ever make that mistake again. You have to train your brain like if it was a little computer. That's it. You just have to train your brain. So every time that you draw something slightly off, even if it is a minuscule thing, the more you're able to distinguish that on your own, the easier it's going to get for you to be able to progress without needing anybody to review your crap or look over your stuff. And once you are self-sustaining learning and growing and critiquing, there's nothing stopping you from learning absolutely everything. That's why I'm capable of drawing in so many different styles and stuff, because it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of how. And once I understood one way of drawing, I'll just apply that to everything else. Proportions are going to be style-based. So you're going to decide what type of styling you want, depending on the proportions that you choose for your anatomy. You can choose the level of detail, the level of attention that you put to every single body part, and change that dynamic to whatever you feel like drawing that day. Maybe you don't feel like drawing anime characters all day, every day. Maybe you want to draw something a little bit more anatomy-based. It's the same approach, it's just a different styling. Whatever I decide that I want. And I know all this because I can switch back and forth because I see shapes. I'm not looking at like, oh my God, is her eyes like droop? No, like I'm like, okay, that's a reverse moon shape with blah, 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 blah. Okay, that little angle is a little bit off. And I know more, I'm able to see more detail because I spent more time observing it. It's not because I have a magical touch. Oh, he's so talented, I'll never get, no, fuck that, dude, no. No, it's not because I'm talented, it's because I train my brain to see that. The more that you pay attention to detail, the more you're able to delve into that. I'll give you guys an example of that too. So let's say that you guys want to learn to draw eyes, right? The very first drawing eyes that we learn to draw are just happy eyes, like just happy face eyes, dots, lines, stuff like that, right? This is the first type of eyes that we learn to draw. These eyes are perfectly okay if you want to draw cartoons because you can have a lot of fun just drawing little dot eyes. If you guys wanted to add a little element to it, you can draw the dot eyes with a little line. And now you have that old school editorial cartooning look. Okay? If you do those dot eyes with a line, but you close them and you let the little line overlap a little bit, you have depth. If you add more detail like highlights or color the areas, you have detail and more depth. The more you go in and you understand how your body works, you can keep adding to this infinitely until you either decide that it's too much or you have met the required amount of detail that you feel for your drawing. It's going to get to the point where you're going to start adding shadows, and the shadows are going to add a different element, because if you add shadows, you can remove line work. Okay? If you can remove line work, then your drawings look a little bit more cool and real. And the more lines you remove when you place them with shadows, the more into the world of realism you get. So that aspect of being able to draw in absolutely any style is now different than just learning how to draw different circles. Just learning how to overlap the lines a little different, and you have a completely different style. Right? So understanding that is the reason you have your sketchbook. Right? That is why you use your sketchbook as a learning tool, as opposed to just using it to draw pretty shit. When you're going to draw pretty stuff, don't draw it in your sketchbook. Draw it in a piece of cardboard, or draw it on a cardstock, or draw it on a canvas, because then you can monetize that. Right? You can monetize that. You can preserve that. You can sell that. If it's going to be taking time to be pretty, just do it in a pretty setting so that you can make money with it. Don't do it in your sketchbook that you're going to put away and you'll never see again. See what I mean? Like, you have to know when to prioritize drawing in your book, and then times that you have to just draw on something else if you want to make it something significant. Your sketchbook is just your learning tool, especially if you're just starting. If you're just starting, your sketchbook should be like a magnificent source of just, I get to draw plants, I get to draw trees, I get to draw animals. I go to the park and I used to just draw everybody. Like, I used to draw people, just sit down. I would sit down, grab a coffee, and then just draw. If they walked away before I could draw them, I knew that I was too slow. I could do that at coffee shops as well. I'd sit down, have my sketchbook, and then while the people are getting their coffee, like at a Starbucks line or something like that, I just sit down and I try to draw them before they finish getting their coffee. And that is how I train my brain to draw quicker, more effectively, and at the same time have a shit ton of fun. You know, because it doesn't have to be boring. It doesn't have to be annoying. It doesn't have to be a chore. You actually get to have fun with this stuff if you allow yourself the ability to actually see it as something fun. If you see it as a chore, oh my God, I have to draw anatomy. I just want to draw foxes. I just want to draw this. I just want to draw animals. Then go to the zoo. Do the same thing with zoo with animals. Go to SeaWorld. Go to an aquarium. Go outside in nature and try to capture all the animals you see on paper. Right? Play Pokemon with your sketchbook and real life animals. Like, it's not incredibly difficult to get encouraged to do so. It's just normally hard to be able to find motivation to be able to do it without someone being on your ass about it. Because a lot of the times we have been told that this is boring, but it's not. It's literally how you unlock every single skill set that you guys desire so badly. You guys open up character design by learning anatomy and perspective. You guys open storyboarding, animation, comics, all that stuff is unlocked the moment that you guys learn this shit. But we fight it. We fight it. We know we need it, but we fight it because we have been taught it's boring as fuck. By everyone. Everyone's like, oh my God, anatomy and perspective. I don't want to draw buildings. It's not about buildings. It's about being able to draw a cup or a sketchbook in a drawing where you're trying to tell someone that you drew in your sketchbook. That's what it's for. Okay, so you can draw your legs in a different position than the shit that you've been drawing for 10 years. It's so that you finally understand something so you can be creative with it. It's not about drilling and just drawing circles and buildings and shit. It's about understanding. It's about breaking down those barriers in your head that make you not see those shapes like a little sculpture, and being able to break those down and being able to just manually move shit in your head from any point of view. And I bet you so many animators have this ability. So many animators. I know them. I've met them. Animation in general is one of the most complete art forms because it forces you to see movement. It forces you to bring something to life. So animators have a huge, gigantic advantage on this. Like an amazingly large, huge, like uncomparable advantage to people like in graphic design or anything like that. Because they see this, they're trained for this, right? Everybody else has to struggle a little bit to see all that stuff because it's normally not easy to capture. Capturing movement, even on something simple like a sphere, right? Just being able to capture some sort of personality on something as little as a happy face is hard. It really is. Being able to do something like this, that's simple. It's not complicated, it's just a circle and two cones, right? If I can make a circle and two cones have life, then I can move on to the next step. Adding different elements, starting to detail things out, and eventually, you don't stick with that, right? Eventually, you start making those circles into two circles, into three circles, into more connecting points like ovals. Those cones turn into legs. And little by little, by starting off simple, you can make things later on with that knowledge. But it's going to take a while. It's not going to be overnight, and it's not going to be with one tip or one trick or one video. You're going to have to drill a lot of knowledge into you, and you're going to have to unlearn a lot of the things that you've learned before. Because let me give you a recap of how it happens. Let me give you a recap what happens when you're learning. Like your path of learning happens in this fashion. Okay, from the age of, I don't know, if you start when you're like a baby, right? From the ages of like 0 to, I don't know, like 15, before we decide to take it seriously at all. We are just drawing what we want, right? We don't draw anything that we don't like. So all this stuff is not academically based. So most of this stuff is just copying. Just observing and copying and seeing how people draw things, and you look at little angles like boxes and almonds and stuff like that, and then you try to replicate that. Okay, and that's how we learn from 0 to 15. We imitate for the first time, and this is why it doesn't matter if you start later in life. This doesn't give you much progression. The progression in this is minimal because we're only constantly copying other people. When we start taking this into a more serious approach, let's say the ages of 16 to 25, the ages of which normally most people jump into the art world, this is when you have a gigantic spike in your abilities because you start reading books, you start taking lessons, you start learning from other people. So all this is just kind of like exercises that lead you to this. But if you don't forget a lot of the shit that you learned here, when it comes down to drawing things like eyes and stuff like that, learning how to see anatomy differently. If you just continue using your copy skills and you don't refine that, or you don't acknowledge that you're drawing from style, you're going to be put in a situation that leaves you kind of stranded. You're going to be able to draw really good, but you're not going to understand what you're doing. So you're going to be able to do certain things really good, amazingly good, and you're going to get praised, and it's going to confuse you why you're getting so much praise when you don't really feel like you understand what you're doing. And that is the lack of knowledge. That is the lack of understanding of perspective, anatomy, and composition, contrasts, stuff like that. And that comes for education. So most of the time when people start around 18 or so, like I did, I caught up to people that had been doing it their entire lives in a year. In 1 year, I was already there. In a couple years, I surpassed them. Because it doesn't matter what you were doing before you academically started training yourself. because this is just pure based on just looks. I want my thing to look pretty, right? So you put all the highlights and all the details in every element, but you don't know where to put it in the head. So you're like, you have all your detail, but you have no idea where to put it. So you have ultra detailed stuff, but you have no clue as to where to put it, so it looks like shit. As opposed to taking a basic element, knowing exactly where to place it, and using even the most basic thing to be able to understand and create something appealing that looks like it's in its place. So detail is pointless if you don't know where to put it. It actually hurts you to do that because you're going to think that you know this stuff. And again, most of the time people don't. If you guys want me to give you guys a quick test as if you guys want to know, this is going to hurt someone's feelings, okay? If we do this, someone's feelings are going to get hurt. I'm going to see the viewership drop, okay? I'm going to see this go from like 2, I'm already seeing it because the people don't like being tested. So if you guys want to see the test, get me to 25K. Get me to 25K and I'll give you guys that little test. It's actually simple and I say it quite often in my streams. But learning how to move things in space and learning if you have the ability to see in perspective, it's as simple as rotating a happy face on a sphere. If you're able to do this from every angle, then you understand volume to a very, rudimentary extent. If you don't understand this, if you can't do this, you don't understand how to draw a sphere. And you don't know how to use it as a guideline. So it's not me telling you to be detrimental to yourself. Oh, no, I don't know how to do this. Fuck you, Brad. No, it's not that. The thing is, once you acknowledge something that you're weak at, you can fix it. And I'm going to teach you guys how. Okay? If you guys don't know how to do this, the start is to learn to draw circles nice and even, okay? You don't have to make them perfect, but you can draw circles nonstop all day. And if you pay attention to little things, like if you overlap them or you do this, pay attention to it. Again, make a note so that your brain knows when you made a mistake, okay? Eventually, your brain allows you to draw quicker, much more effectively, and without many issues. You're still going to have little issues here and there, but your agility is going to increase significantly. So once you understand how to draw and practice your circles, you're going to draw circles inside of circles. What I like to do is I like to make the outside one a little thicker than the one inside, so you know that it's a guideline. From there, start with a happy face. A little happy face anywhere on that circle. Okay? Draw it lightly. The next step you're going to do is you're going to make the face, the eyes into the mouth, and you're going to rotate that up. You're going to move that around the entirety of the shape. You're just going to alternate between mouth and eyes. So wherever the mouth is, you move it up. And you go around that whole guideline all the way across until it starts making sense, like a tread or like somebody putting a rubber band on top of a planet. This is the goal that you're trying to aim for. You're trying to see this as a surface as opposed to just a line. Because if you see it as a surface, you can eventually start building from that in every direction. Okay? So your test is going to be, start small. Just go, draw a circle, and start with this first. After you're able to do this in every single shape, then you're going to add a little bit of detail. And you're going to do the exact same thing. You're going to draw these in all directions, all over your sphere, and you're going to see if you can do that. And if you can't, then you need to go back and do the guidelines again. If you get to the point where you can draw a little bit more detail, you're going to get to the point where you're going to start understanding your limitations really quick. You're going to start seeing where it's hard and when it's not. And again, if you can't rotate it, it's because something, either a perspective issue or an anatomy issue, is at stake, which means you have to go study. Once you know what you need to study, then you eliminate a weakness in your designs. So once you go in and study how to draw eyes from the top, you no longer have that weakness. You can now draw that, and you can have so much fun drawing people looking up when other people struggle. It's going to be a consistent set of learning throughout your entire career. Okay, it doesn't matter if you're at the measure of, like, I don't know, Brian Kessinger, or I don't know, who's a famous one, Chris Sanders, or anybody else like that. They're still learning. Everybody's still learning. And if you stop learning and you don't see anybody's like style progress or anything in a couple years, then they settled. And I guess that's fine, I guess, technically. In my eyes, it's not. I don't think you should ever stop trying to get better. But if you stall and you're like, okay, I'm just happy here, and you're okay with it, well, there you go. Just refine. At that point, you can just go into refinement and just start pinpointing little things and adding little stylings to whatever you want in a more accurate way. So you can work more on your style. And overall, just remember that your style is not what you're drawing, it's what you know. Your style is not what you're drawing in front of you. Your style is what you know, like the tools that you have in your brain. Okay? The style is not what you put on the paper. No, that's a part of your tool set. A part of your tool set allows you to draw that in a certain style. Okay? The trick to a successful artist is having a ridiculous amount of tool sets. So when you're able to draw something simple, then you can stylize it later. So if I know that my eye is just two overlapping lines, like that, one is darker, and I can just add my style inside, well, eyes become incredibly less intimidating. It's just two lines, right? But getting to the point where it's two lines is coming from understanding that your eye is a sphere, hemispheres go around, giving it depth, creating an overlapping line creates much more depth, and from there I can add my details if I practice enough perspective to understand that things break. They don't go in a straight line always. They go and they create volume. Okay? A lot of the times when you guys see these eyelashes that have this big thick side, it's because all the eyelashes are accumulating in there. So when your eyelashes come, they go forward, right? When they come forward, they overlap, especially towards the edge. They're overlapping into themselves because they're coming out and coming up. So therefore, the overlap is what creates that illusion of that darker edge of the eyelashes. Then people have like the little cat eye that they add later, right? But that's makeup. This is anatomy. This is makeup. There's a distinction that needs to be done at some point, and you're going to learn how to do that as you progress through your career. But you're going to have to learn the difference between details that are made artificially and details that come because of your anatomy. And that just, again, comes with studying. It comes with understanding a little bit more about contrast and lighting. And it'll just unlock when you start practicing more of this type of drawing. You could use that technique for all parts of the body. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, yeah, you can use, yeah. The mouth is really easy as well. It's kind of like an eye, but instead of drawing the eyeball, you draw some teeth. So it's two overlapping lines, negative space, and volume for your lips. So you don't have to overthink it, right? It's just two overlapping lines. But you just need to learn what lines overlap what. And it doesn't matter if you want thick lips, thin lips, lips that have ridiculous sizes, you know, like a massive lower lip or a massive upper lip. You know, doesn't matter what you choose to do. It's just two overlapping lines. And once you learn how to do an eyeball, you can do lips. So once you learn how to do this and learn to overlap your line, you can draw eyes and you can draw mouths. Cool? All right, let's see. What else? If you guys get me to 40,000 likes, I don't know. I'll teach you guys the next thing. I don't know what the next thing is. We're running out of space. But I am enjoying myself quite a bit today. It's been a rough couple days, honestly. It's just been kind of shitty. Like my brain is mean to me, and I don't really know what to do about it. But drawing helps, and drawing with you guys always helps. And drawing with you guys is one of my best parts of my day. So, yeah. So tap that screen. Let's get to 40K. Meanwhile, I'll add a little bit of white because adding the white is the best part. Yeah, that's the best part about like tan sketchbooks. Any tan paper allows you to draw with white. And it's such a lovely, lovely little thing to add to your drawings. Even like a little baby highlight just makes, it just hits the right spot. Plus, it makes drawing anime white hair really cool. This pencil is a peel-off China marker. Did you do that? Yeah, that's it. That's the test. Do that. Try doing this. If you're able to do this, then you know perspective a little bit. And again, try doing that with every body part. Don't just do it with like your eyes or your head. Try to draw that with every single body part so that you get used to drawing things in every angle. You can just use a sphere and be able to draw things so that you can learn how to draw them in different angles. Okay? You don't have to draw the whole head to practice eyes. You can just practice on a sphere. So that's what you can do. So, okay. I have time for one more question. One more question, and then we'll call it a day. So today we were talking about sketchbook habits. Most of the time, the only thing that you really have to consider is making sure that you're using it to learn. Make sure that you're drawing things that you like, things that you enjoy, things that you want to do. Because if you're constantly drawing just exercises like this, right, and you don't take the time to draw the cool things that you want to draw, well, then eventually you're going to get to the point where you're going to burn out. You're going to, oh my God, I've done so much perspective, so much anatomy, so much blah, 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 blah. And then you're going to just not want to be able to draw and sit down, and you're not going to be able to enjoy yourself as much. So whenever you're drawing, learning, and creating, make sure that whenever anything clicks, you guys apply that as fast as you can to something that makes you happy or proud. And I'm going to repeat that over and over because that's the way you cement this knowledge into your brain. Okay? The way that you keep it forever is by applying it. It's not just by learning it, it's by application. So you need to apply it to something. In your case, it could be a piece of artwork, an illustration, a drawing, even just a doodle in your sketchbook will help you retain this knowledge forever. That is the difference between someone that's just gonna listen to me, go home, forget that knowledge, and then remember this the next time that they listen to me talk, or a person that's gonna do this, learn this, and be able to actually apply it anytime they want without the need of me reiterating. And like I have always said, my goal, my ultimate goal is to make it so you guys don't need me. Okay? My goal is so that you guys can learn all this stuff without ever needing to come back to me. Because that's the point. The point is to make it so you guys are self-sustaining artists that don't require this. And even more so, people that can teach this stuff to other people if they see them in need. Because I give this knowledge willy-nilly, but I do expect people to share this knowledge and not gatekeep it. Okay? I don't want people to be like, oh, well, it's Rod's. No, fuck it. I don't give a shit. Don't give a hell. Share it. You don't have to give me credit. You don't have to give me credit. I just want you to share it. Okay? Because the reason that I do this isn't for money, isn't for clout, isn't for fame. It's not for notoriety. It's to help people. So if I can reach more people through you guys because you guys feel like you guys want to share that, go for it. I encourage it. Give little lessons to a younger artist, teach your brother, teach your sister, teach them how to unlock this so they can enjoy this knowledge too. And it doesn't have to take 20 years of your life. It doesn't have to even take a month to be able to do something proud, something that you're happy with. Normally, all this stuff is taught incredibly difficult. And it's taught in ways that most of the time it's either you go to art school and you learn it from someone, or you really, really have to have some connections to be able to understand any of this shit. Because they make it hard. Because even though it is a hard thing to do, a lot of people don't know how to explain things. So even if you're a great artist, doesn't mean that you're going to be able to teach that. Okay? Because teaching is a lot more complex than just regurgitating knowledge. Teaching involves understanding how people struggle, understanding what measures they can learn easy, what measures are hard. And actually having gone through that myself, I'm much more able to protrude those little elements than a lot of people that are naturally gifted and grew up being able to draw from their mother's womb. Just saying. People that are naturally gifted make shitty teachers because they don't understand. They just don't understand the struggles that normal people have to go through. They just go like, oh, well, you just see it. I'm like, no, maybe you just see it, but no, that's not how everybody works, brother. So a lot of the times, even though you are an amazing artist, that doesn't mean that you are a good teacher. Okay? Just because you were in the industry or you're able to animate or create or illustrate does not mean you're going to make a good teacher. Most of the time, they don't. But it's nice seeing their finished artwork, huh? I'm just saying, it's really nice seeing finished artwork and stuff like that from beautiful artists, but a lot of the times it's not conducive to learning anything. Like watching somebody's sped up video doesn't teach you anything unless they're actually explaining what they're doing. And a lot of the time, since people are doing projects that they're going to do for conventions and they're using like whatever, they don't really talk about all the things that they're doing because they're not trying to take a long time doing so. They're trying to get shortcutted. They're trying to figure out how to get point A, point B, point Z as quickly as possible so they can get paid. So that is because I would do that. That's what I would do. So if I were working for a client or making a video and I knew that I was just it for Patreon or something, I would probably just speed run through it, something that I'm familiar with, and then just be like, there you go, guys. There's your video. Instead of actually sitting down and trying to talk about a topic that's normally difficult and then try to teach you guys something that you guys can actually use, instead of just fandom service. Like, ooh, let me draw a really hot girl. Okay, cool. Oh, she has boobs. Okay, cool. Oh, it's an anime character I had a crush on. Okay, not gonna lie, I still watch some of those because I love those. But at the same time, it's not very conducive to learning, though. And if your goal is to learn, use your money wisely and don't spend it on, just videos and stuff. Spend it on courses. Spend it on things that are going to actually progress you. Okay? Not just a visual aspect of things that, even though it might teach you something, it's probably not. What is the biggest tip to place hair? Well, I hear that hair grows at the top of your head. So I would put it at the top of my head. So if you're going to divide your head into 3, 1, 2, 3, most of your features fall into this middle section. Then you have the third part that is the top of your head and your hairline. and then the bottom part is your mouth and your chin. So if you consider that, you can do 1, 2, 3, and figure out your hairline before you decide any features. This midline is where your nose, eyes, eyebrows, and ears are gonna fall. And then this bottom part is your mouth and your chin. So if you decide that you wanna learn how to do it like that, that's one way to do it. Can we talk about handa? Who's handa? I think you mean hands. If you guys wanna see a video on hands, that's gonna explain everything about hands, go watch my 100 hand challenge. It's a 4-hour video. So it's a 4-hour video for like heads up. But if you guys just tune in for like 10 minutes, I explain how to draw the hand in several ways. And we go through every single possible variation that we can possibly think of. And I give you guys some nice nifty tricks to be able to understand your hand a little bit better. So if you guys want to check that out, you guys can do that. You guys can check out the little tips that I have on TikTok as well. Those are going to be very helpful. But if you guys just search for my channel on YouTube, you guys will find a plethora of videos. Like I have over 500 or so videos now, and I upload one every single day. When I die, when the time comes and I die, people will have knowledge for decades. I am making sure that there's a future-proof system here. And that comes with making sure that people are actually learning from me and not just me making money from you. Because that's how you leave a legacy, in this at least. Okay? I don't want you guys. I honestly, the only time I want you guys is, like attention is just so you guys can help me reach more people. That's it. With that being said, my friends, we are done with this sketchbook. We are officially completely done. So thank you so much. Let's do a quick recap. Let's make a quick sketchbook tour. Hold on. Let's move this up. Let's do a quick sketchbook tour so you guys see what we learned, what we did. And every single one of these pages is a lesson that we did on stream. So every single page that we have here is one that we taught. This is a lesson that can be found online. This is a lesson that can be found online. That too. Every single one of these pages was here answering your guys' questions, giving you guys knowledge that you guys might never have to pay for. If you guys feel like learning anything, drawing-wise at least, you guys can just tune in to my drawing streams and you guys can learn to draw like Disney, you guys can learn pinups, you guys can learn anatomy, you guys can learn fantasy, sci-fi, cartooning, and guess what? None of it has shading. You don't even need to know shading to create depth. That's the beautiful thing of it. Like a lot of the times people focus so much on like lighting and coloring. You don't even need that to be able to do that. But it's really helpful when you actually learn it. Right? But to create depth, you have no idea how much you can get by just overlapping some lines. Thank you so much for everybody. Thank you so much to all of you that keep me encouraged and keep me sane, because I am a very person that suffers from a few variety of mental disorders, depression, anxiety, and stuff like that. And having you guys be such lovely human beings to me is essentially the source of what makes me want to come back here and do this over and over and over every day. I normally stream in the mornings a little bit earlier, but I like to switch it up because I like to have different people have access to this as well. I don't like just making it at one time, because then those people that don't live in those time zones or whatever don't have access to having any knowledge. So I like to switch it up once in a while, but most of the time I come in around 8:30 Pacific time. And yeah, and then we stay here until we either finish one page or we finish about an hour worth of drawing. It's normally one of the two. If we finish a page and we haven't finished an hour, I continue on to a different page. If we have already done a couple pages, but we haven't finished an hour of drawing, then I keep going until we finish an hour. And sometimes we just go in and do random stuff like singing and putting music on and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, most of the issues are exactly the same concept, right? It's making sure you guys know something new by the end of the stream, making sure that you guys can retain that knowledge so that you guys can use it freely, and making sure that you guys know where you can find this knowledge again if you feel like you want to recap all this stuff. And that is over on my YouTube channel, okay? It's the same name that I have, so you guys don't have to find, it's not gonna hard to find me. Just Google RODGON art teacher or Google RODGON. I'm a very popular person. I'm a very well-known person. Just Google my name. Enjoy all the content. There's thousands of posts on Instagram. There's hundreds of posts on YouTube. There's I think over 4,000 posts on Instagram. 4,000. Not joking. Over 4,000 posts. And it's knowledge that you guys can freely use, share, and absorb. And it's time to call it a day for this one. So thank you so much for everything. Without you guys, I'm nothing. So just keep that in mind. You guys are amazing. Love you all. Sketchbook completed. What's today's date? May 30th. So it's May 30th, 2024. And we started this in April 29th. We took 1 month. 1 month to finish this. We did over 80 lessons in a month. Over 80 lessons in 1 month. That's fucking awesome. Thank you again. I'm going to go drink some coffee, celebrate a little bit, and and scream off the top of my lungs. Woohoo! So I'll upload all the clips from the videos later on today. You guys, I'll upload the video itself to YouTube around noon when it starts processing, and you guys will have a fantastic Friday or Thursday because you guys are awesome, you guys are amazing, and I love you all. Take care. See you guys later.